In case you were starting to sour on Donald Trump after all the drama of the last week, Barack Obama reappeared today to remind us why America elected Trump in the first place. In a remarkable departure from tradition and decorum, Obama gave a bitterly partisan campaign speech at the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana, in which he urged voters to support Democrats in the midterm elections. Like virtually all Obama speeches, the subtext was mostly about the omnipresence of white racism, which Obama, needless to say, blamed for the rise of Trump. But then he got creative. Watch, for example, as Obama blames the current administration for pursuing almost exactly the same Russia policy that he once did.
What happened to the Republican Party? Its central organizing principle in foreign policy was the fight against communism, and now they're cozying up to the former head of the KGB.
How did a guy from Hawaii learn to talk like that? Where did he get that accent? It's pretty funny. But that was just an aside. Soon, Obama went back to his favorite and endlessly recurring theme, Republican racism. Here's one quote. "Each time we painstakingly pull ourselves closer to our founding ideals, that all of us are created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights, somebody, somewhere, has pushed back." In other words, Republicans just hate equal rights. That's why they elected Trump. They're just like slaveholders in the antebellum South. Watch Obama explain.
Now understand, this is not just a matter of Democrats versus Republicans or liberals versus conservatives. At various times in our history, this kind of politics has infected both parties. Southern Democrats were the bigger defenders of slavery.
Slavery. See, it's simple. Racism did it. Interestingly, the one thing Obama didn't mention was the death of the American middle class. And that's odd because it was only in 2015, 7 years into Obama's presidency, when the middle class became a minority in this country for the first time in living memory. That was the pivotal event of the past several decades. It changed this country profoundly. It is the cause of nearly all of our current political turmoil. But to Obama, it simply never happened. And of course, 7 years of his policies had literally nothing to do with it. Throughout Washington, establishment figures burst into applause when they heard that. They don't want to talk about the dying middle class either. They're not interested, and they don't want to be implicated. So much easier just to blame racists under the bed. Chris Hahn is a radio show host in New York and a former staffer to Senator Chuck Schumer, and he joins us tonight. So, Chris, is it really that simple? I mean, the president said today, if you read the speech carefully, as I did, what most Democrats have been saying for the last 2 years, it's just racism. All of this is racism. People couldn't, Republicans, rural people, they just couldn't deal with all the equality, and so there was a backlash, and they elected Trump. Is that really the explanation, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that's really what he said today, and I think it's rich for anybody.
It is what
I think it's rich for anybody to say that norms were not being followed today, which is what you opened with today, because norms have not been followed for the last 20 months by this president. And I think it's time that every good American start pushing back. And I think President Obama's speech today was a rallying cry to the entire country.
Okay. It was a campaign speech designed to get Democrats elected. He's a Democrat. I'm not begrudging him that. But I guess I would just make 2 points. One, if you're against overturning norms, then surely it must bother you that a recently retired president is giving a campaign speech. We have a norm that they don't do that. He just did. And since you're a defender of norms, you're not bothered?
No, I just don't think that the people who love freedom and love our Constitution in this country should universally disarm to a president who has decided to push every norm, including calling on the press, including, hold on, Tucker, including calling on the press to turn someone over to the government, which, you know, the Republican Party used to think that Obamacare was tyranny. Don't you think that's more tyrannical?
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. You're talking. Okay. Whatever. It's also such a talking point. So look, that's fine. Then just don't ever lecture me about norms again. If it's bad for Trump to overturn norms, which he's certainly done, I'm not denying that. Obviously, he has.
Completely.
He has. And Obama just did it again today. But that's cool, and what Trump is doing is bad, because why stop lecturing me about norms, please? But let's get back to the race thing.
Look.
Because I think it's real. Obama, I read the speech. I watched the speech. Again and again he says, This is part of a long cycle in American history. He says it out loud, where we enfranchise certain groups in the country and certain reactionary elements hate that, and so they strike back. That's how Trump collected. He just said that. He blamed this on racism. And I'm asking you, do you think that's true? Is that really what the Trump election was about, racism?
I watched the speech and then I read it again in preparing for this show. And President Obama said that there are genuinely people in this country that fear change, and it's not because of race. That's what he said today. Okay? Are there people in this country? Are there people in this country that have a racial element to their politics? Of course there are, Tucker. We both agree on that.
Yeah, Obama is first on that list, I would say. But let me ask you, honestly, don't you think if you're assessing what's going on in America, and Obama fancies himself as intellectual, as you know, and you guys pretend he is an intellectual, shouldn't you mention the death of the middle class in your speech? During his presidency, the middle class, for the first time in anyone's lifetime, became a minority in this country. That caused a ton of anxiety that, in my view, resulted in Trump's election. He doesn't even mention that. No one ever mentions that. Why?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
So the president took over. President Obama took over an economy that was bleeding jobs, and he resuscitated it, including many industries that would have just gone away had it not been for the policies of the Obama administration. And you're right, the middle class did take a hit during the Obama administration, as it had done in the Bush administration as well.
Yes, I agree. Look, I'm not
in prior administrations.
Because I'm not a mindless partisan. I'm not defending George W. Bush.
It's not roaring back either, by the way. Let's be clear.
I don't think it is. And I'm not here to tout Republicans, who I attack regularly on the show. I just want someone to stop lying and concede that all of this is not about racism. It's about the death of our middle class, which sustained the country for 100 years. Can you admit that?
I think that the pressure on the middle class is something that has absolutely contributed to our politics, Tucker. And it has also caused people who are under stress to take it out in ways that are not necessarily good.
Yeah, that's probably true, but we should fix the problem.
So,
racism.
Yeah, I agree. We should fix the problem.
God,
but I don't,
it's always the racism. All right.
We should fix the problem, and I don't think that this president is capable of doing it.
Yeah, maybe screaming racist will fix the problem. Maybe it will. Chris, thank you.